Hello everyone, my name is Sarah Ann Wagner, and today I'm going to talk about how COVID-19 pandemic affected burnout, anxiety, and depression among healthcare workers. Imagine going to work every single day knowing that you could be exposed to a dangerous virus, then coming home worried you might infect your own family. While many of us experienced stress during the COVID-19 pandemic, healthcare workers faced these challenges every single day. Doctors, nurses, emergency medical staff, and other healthcare professionals worked long hours under extreme pressure while caring for patients during one of the biggest health crises in modern-day history. Today, I will be explaining how the COVID-19 pandemic increased burnout, anxiety, and depression among healthcare workers, why these mental challenges continued long after the pandemic began, and what the researchers have found that may help reduce these problems in the future. To begin, let's look at the immediate health effects of the pandemic. According to research I found, the author, Georgi, and his colleagues, researchers from the European University of Rome, healthcare workers experienced significantly higher levels of anxiety, depression, stress, trauma, and sleep problems during COVID-19. The review analyzed 35 different studies to better understand the psychological effects of the pandemic in the workplace. The researchers concluded that workplace conditions played a major role into employee mental health. They found that organizations could help reduce stress by providing reliable protective equipment, establishing clear safety procedures, improving communication, and offering mental health support. This shows us that burnout wasn't simply an individual problem. It was also influenced by the environment in which healthcare workers were expected to perform their jobs and daily tasks. As the pandemic continued, many of these challenges changed, but they did not disappear. My second source, a study by Brian N. G. Lee and colleagues from Deakin University, examined what happened after several years of the pandemic. Instead of focusing only on the beginning of COVID-19, the researchers interviewed frontline healthcare workers who worked in emergency departments, intensive care units, COVID-19 wards, and aged care facilities throughout the pandemic. What the researchers found was that workers' concerns shift over time. Early in the pandemic, many were worried about becoming infected or passing the virus to their families. However, as time went on, staffing shortages, employee resignations, overtime, and heavy workloads became the biggest sources of stress to these workers. Many healthcare workers reported feeling emotionally exhausted and physically drained. Even after COVID-19 cases decreased, hospitals often remained understaffed because many employees had left the profession. This created a cycle where fewer workers had to care for more patients, leading to even greater burnout. The researchers also believed it was important to study long-term effects because earlier research focused mainly on the first few months of the pandemic. Their findings remind us that the mental health effects of COVID-19 continued long after the initial emergency ended. Although these studies do highlight the serious challenges that many healthcare workers have faced, they also identified ways to support healthcare workers during this time. In my final source, I researched a study by Zali Kua and colleagues from Singapore explored the relationship between physical activity and mental health during the COVID-19 lockdown. The researchers surveyed healthcare workers and found that many experienced high levels of anxiety, depression, and stress. However, they also found that workers who were able to maintain higher levels of physical activity generally reported fewer mental health symptoms. In conclusion, these three studies show that COVID-19 pandemic affected healthcare workers in many different ways. At first, fear of infection and uncertainty caused widespread anxiety and stress. Later, staffing shortages, overtime, and emotional exhaustion became major contributors to burnout. Researchers also found that supportive workplaces and healthy routines may help reduce some of these mental health challenges.